welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining my webinar today. My name's Naimish Gohil, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Satchel. We've been working with schools and school districts for about 12 years now. And so hopefully today I want to share some of the lessons that we've been learning over that time, working with small school districts, large school districts. Today's session is really focused on how do we embed responsible decision making. And so us as counselors, how can we better support teachers in shaping student choices? Over the last, I would say, 8 or 9 weeks, I've been running these types of sessions where what I'm really trying to do is connect the dots between activities, so instructional activities that teachers can do with very little support, alongside student behaviors, and connecting the dots in terms of helping classroom teachers understand when they see a specific student behavior, what does that translate into an SEL skill, and then be equipped with having some tools, short, no friction activities that they can start to embed into their practice. And so that's one of the things I see what is lacking the most. Often we will see students behave in a certain way, and we will link it directly to a behavioral issue, particularly teachers. And so it's quite difficult for teachers to connect the dots in terms of, okay, what is that skill that student is lacking in, and or may, has not been taught that skill. How do we improve the situation by being able to give them opportunities to practice that specific skill? And so, yeah, it's something that is quite difficult to do across a school building, or certainly across a school district. You really finding opportunities to practice and incorporate into teaching and learning is a big challenge. And especially if we don't do it consistently, because the only way it really makes a difference is when it's done consistently. And that leads to it being authentic versus a checkbox exercise that you do, once a week in advisory. So yeah, today we're gonna look at responsible decision making to kick off with. So, what is responsible decision making? Well, it's really the ability to make constructive ethical choices, evaluate consequences, reflect on actions, and I would even argue, solving problems thoroughly. So in our classrooms, this might look like thinking before acting, owning mistakes, seeking help when needed, choosing to resolve conflict peacefully. So these are just some of the examples. There are many more. It's particularly challenging in middle schools because students are at that age where they're just going through things. It's easy for them to act on impulse. They struggle to consider outcomes, and are often influenced by peers. I think a key thing to remember, and I've put it on the slide, but it doesn't mean they can't make good decisions. It really means we need to teach them and provide them the tools and the opportunity to practice in doing so. I often find, we teach math with fidelity, English, or other academic subjects, and yet teaching soft skills, it's really a lottery. And it doesn't have to be this way. So let's look at a couple of tactics. Again, some of the tactics that I'm going to share today are not rocket science. I really wanted to use this opportunity to just highlight a few that we could go away and start practicing or using, or certainly encouraging the teachers that we work with to do so. So let's look at tactic 1. This is really think aloud decision scenarios. So if we look at some examples, or a particular example, we could ask out loud, you forgot your homework, what are your options? And providing that opportunity in class without rushing really helps students think. It helps them model critical thinking. It normalizes reflection. So it's something that we're doing more on a daily basis without even thinking about it. And it provides decision pathways, which are really, really important. Tactic 2. It's you can do it in a few different ways, but it's like, what would you do, Wall? So it's again providing an opportunity for students to be able to think. A couple of examples here. You're tempted to copy a friend's work. What's your move? And so these are the sort of scenarios where you could add them into what we call plenaries or starter activities. And it works because it builds peer discussion. Again, it's helping students to think about different types of reasoning skills and strengthening these reasoning skills. So the more they do it, the easier it becomes. I find even as adults, it's very difficult for us to often put ourselves in the other person's shoes. You have to really practice that and do it intentionally. Otherwise, it's difficult. And so for students, when they're much younger, it's a great opportunity to really embed this particular skill, so they can start. Well, it can only benefit them in the many decisions that they will be making in their school life and beyond school. Okay, tactic 3, reflective journaling. Again, I think everyone knows what this is, but it's really, again, the opportunity to put pen to paper, because what's in our heads is very different to when it's in black and white. And so this is really useful because it encourages accountability, it strengthens decisions awareness, and it builds self-efficacy, which is really, really important when you're thinking about responsible decision-making skills. The last one, tactic 4, this is about making flowcharts. So flowcharts are really, really easy. And you can do this with just pen and paper, certainly with different types of scenario planning. And this is also great for discussing together as a class when you're going through specific scenarios using flowcharts. It really helps to make things visible. It helps helps with complex decisions, and it encourages step-by-step problem solving. Another way to think about this is also like decision trees. Again, some of you may already be familiar with decision trees. Yes, no options, yes, no options, but they're doing them consistently, regardless of what subject it is, can make it's just good practice. It really does help. Tactic 5, I've labeled this as class problem solving teams. So using real life classroom scenarios to practice group decision making. Examples, how can we transition smoother? What's a fair way to decide on group roles? When teachers within your school buildings will already be doing these types of activities, but what they may not realize is actually this is improving or creating opportunities to improve responsible decision making. And that's the connection that I think we are trying to advocate with the school districts that we work with. And it's really, as counselors, we're limited with what we can do given the the limited resources that we have, and particularly the number of counselors that any particular school has. And so if we really want to move the needle, we have to get our teachers to practice different types, or introduce and implement different types of activities so they can compound the efforts of counselors. And so, yeah, we are trying to create a whole library of just, again, free resources, cheat sheets that you as counselors can really share with your classroom teachers. And hopefully, if they're in short form, quick to do, they will start to see the they will start to connect the dots between the student behaviors and the SEL skill, and hopefully then access some of these resources to help them. So yeah, apologies. I probably went through that very, very quickly. Maybe I'll open it up if anyone's got any questions, if they want to put any messages in the chat window. But I will certainly share the different types of resources. We have cheat sheets for, if I just go back a couple of slides, we have cheat sheets for all of the different competencies within the CASTLE framework, and they're just a one-pager, and they require, as I've repeating myself, but very little resources, and they're frictionless, so you can do them very, very quickly. So we'll certainly follow up with everyone that's attended and share these cheat sheets for you to distribute to your teachers, and hopefully it will make a difference. Okay, let me just check the channel if there's any questions. Yeah, if you do have any questions, please just ping them in the chat window, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Okay, so yeah, just lastly, thank you so much for attending today. Hopefully you found it useful. Yeah, if you'd like to learn more, please visit satchelpulse.com. We have a whole bunch of resources, and we support school districts in different areas, because every school and school district are at different stages on their mental health and SEL journey. So thank you so much for attending, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.